Casual Magic has been brought to you by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can get cool stuff. Use the code CASUAL for 5% off your order. We're also sponsored by QuiverTime, makers of the Quiver and Bolt deck cases and other fine card-holding accessories. Use the code CASUAL on their site for 10% off your purchase. And by Architect, a deck hosting website that doesn't sell anything, but they like me and I like them, so kindly use them for all your deck list needs. Now, on to the show. Hello and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic the Gathering. My name is Shivam, and Casual Magic is brought to you by Cool Stuff Inc., Architect, and Quiver. Today, I have my dear friend Tappy Toe Claws, back on for I don't know, the fourth, fifth, whatever, time.
At least the third.
At least the third. I mean, look, Tappy and Olivia are the reasons I started this show, so she's got carte blanche to come on whenever she wants for any reason at all, because it turns out all you guys like listening to the Tappy and Shivam hour of whatever nonsense.
This is going to be a weird one, too. They're in for it.
You know, look, I will set the stage real quick. Tappy messages me. It's like, hey, I need to talk about Eurovision to somebody. Can I come on your show? And I'm like, yes, you can. And it turned out, because look, I enjoy me a good European musical adventure time, and I also like the Will Ferrell movie. That was very fun. But you know, I've never once not enjoyed a Tappy Story Hour, so here we go. But before we do, because I'm contractually obligated to talk about Magic.
Understandable. Yeah,
at least a little bit.
We can do it, but we can do it. We can make it happen.
Yeah, I'm sure we can. How's it going, Taps? The last time I saw you was in Minneapolis.
And I was probably talking somebody's ear off about Eurovision. Yeah.
Literally, you say somebody, I say everybody.
It was literally anybody who would not run away from me fast enough. And I wear comfy shoes when I'm in that Chandra costume. So
it was,
yeah. Minneapolis was amazing. I'm wearing they had the cool hockey sweaters.
Yeah, I know.
This is maybe my new favorite Magic hoodie. This is maybe definitely my favorite one.
See, I would have gotten one if I didn't have the Kamigawa hoodie that I love to death.
The Kamigawa one is good. I like that this one is dark though, because I am a gremlin. And I also don't want to separate my darks from my whites. So if I can't get a white shirt clean with chucking it in with all my stuff and praying for the best in the clothes dishwasher, then it's just gonna go. I guess it's just the clothes washer. The dish was unnecessary. Can you tell which chore I did as a child and which I didn't?
Oh no. The clothes dishwasher.
It's already off the rails.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So,
yeah.
Good gravy. So, yeah, no, because I got the really cool Letterman jacket that they had there.
I got that one too, yeah.
Because I was like, I don't need another jacket, but this jacket's sick, and I really regret not getting the one from Philly. So I was like, I'm getting this one. It's hot. And it turned out that Minnesota was 800 degrees, so it was too hot to wear a jacket.
Yeah, it could have been. It's the Midwest, so it could have been a toss up. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 80 here, and then over the weekend it's apparently going back down to 50. So
it was wild. They were like, "Yeah, man, it snowed last week," and I'm like, "It is. I'm dying. How are you telling me it's snowing?" The funniest thing though is I met Esmond Hang, who is from Singapore, who had had him on my show earlier, and we were talking because I was like, "Oh my god, it's so nice to meet you," etc., etc. And we were like, "Man, the weather here is super weird." He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm freezing," and I'm like, "Oh right, you live on the equator where it's actually hot." It's like this is just he's like, he held his hand out, and I'm like, "Dude, your hand is ice cold." It's like, "Yeah, I know. Isn't it weird?" And I'm like, I don't. Are you a salamander?
I was like, yeah. Understand. Can I get you a blanket, and a hot water bottle or something?
What? Oh my god! Yeah, no. Minnesota was amazing. It was so cool. I got to see you for 13 seconds, which was about what happens when you're working the show.
Yeah, it was it's the most busy that I am at a Magic event, but it's also extremely fun.
Right.
It is definitely work. I am exhausted by the end of the weekend, but it is an extremely good, satisfied kind of exhausted, right?
Yeah.
it's just like it's kind of indescribable. I love that. I got told by a few of the WotC staff, they're like, Tappy, you don't have to be like in character as Chandra. You just have to like take pictures and stuff. And I'm like, I
No, you don't
wasn't
understand.
I
Chandra's
this
in character as
I'm
Tappy.
that's just what I was doing. And they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, we thought your like little dance was just like what it was." And I was like, "Oh no, I just have a whole playlist that's going on in my head right now that I'm like going through, and that's just what you saw. Like if you saw me dancing or whatever,
Yeah,
it's
who
because I had
because
16 songs playing at once."
yeah, you did. And whoever that little pixie girl was that was following you around as your WotC handler, I was
Oh my
just like,
Alyssa, she
yes.
is lovely. She's my favorite.
Yeah, and I was like, "You are in for a time, my friend. I
Oh,
hope
she
you are
was she was
prepared."
my handler at Philly too, so she
Oh,
knew what she
okay,
was in
cool.
for. Yeah, she
Yeah,
she was she requested that we were together again, which was lovely. So
Man, but I don't know, it just the vibe was really cool there. Everybody was in a good mood. It was just and like the hall was way cooler than in like Philly. I don't know.
yeah, I liked like it was kind of different because we didn't have our little layers, right? We didn't have our
Yeah,
little houses.
that sucked a little bit.
It sucked a little bit, but honestly, I kind of liked being able to walk around a little bit more. Like I wasn't
That's fair.
stuck in one place. It definitely was more it facilitated all of us interacting more as far as like the
That's fair.
characters with each other. Like there was a lot more of us kind of like,
It felt
running
more
around.
Disneylandy.
Yeah, it's less yeah, and honestly, like I kind of like that there was all that extra space. Like
Mhm.
it felt like I know I was talking to some of the artists and some of my friends who like worked with the artists. They had so much more space and it
Oh
was
my god, it
so
was
much better
amazing.
organized. That was really nice. I know a lot of the artists really appreciated that they
The
had like
artist area also
designated.
had carpeting, did you
They had
notice?
carpeting and they had the lines for like their little
It was
like
magical.
signing spaces. It was magical. It was
Yeah.
literally a magic event.
No,
So
I don't know. I thought it was really, really fun, and like people came to my panel, which was wild. Like,
it
but I guess it's got Gavin, so people can show up.
Yeah, I heard like everybody's panels went really, really well because Gavin and Ben did
Yeah, that was
the
our panel. I
chaos
was on
draft.
that panel with them.
Oh,
We did,
you were on that panel with them.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Like I basically just I pinged Alex beforehand, and I was like, "Hey, Cass, you're doing a panel on Chaos Draft. Can I just come?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course you can." And then of course Cass
And
had,
then he couldn't make it, so he's
and
like,
then he
"Yeah,
couldn't make it.
please."
And he's like, "You saved the day." And I'm like, "All right, Chaos Draft. I can talk about Chaos Draft all day."
Oh my god,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, it was weird because like the panels are in these tiny little rooms, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's really small," and they're kind of pushing us away, and it's kind of weird. But then everybody's panel was also incredibly full and felt really good, and the audiences were great. So it was like, look, they gave us small rooms, but we filled them properly, so it
Well,
didn't feel small. It
and
felt cool.
sometimes a smaller room is nice because you don't have to like scream to be heard either. And like
Right?
people, like if they're coming to a panel and they're interrupting playing Magic or walking
Yeah,
around or hanging out with their friends, they kind of want a more slightly more like intimate experience with like the
yeah,
people who are hosting the panel. So like
yeah, exactly.
I think the purpose that the panels serve, like they were perfect. I didn't obviously attend any, but
Well,
from
yes.
everyone that I heard who either did them
I mean, that's
themselves
exactly it.
or attended them, it felt like it was really like genuine and
Yeah, like
like
that was exactly it because like obviously me, Cass, and Bateman don't need to use microphones, so we didn't. And they weren't working at the time anyways, but it still was like, look, we would not have been able to do that in the hall where everybody's trying to do like everybody's like, why aren't we on the main stage? And I'm like, have you tried to watch a panel on the main stage? You can't because you're distracted by like all the people walking back and forth, the shops, the games, the meet at the red spot, whatever it is. In the panel room, it's like a college lecture time, and we could just sit and relax and just enjoy. It was great. I don't know. I think they did a phenomenal job, and I look forward to seeing what Vegas 2 looks like.
yeah, I'm looking
Are
forward
you
to
going to
seeing.
Barca?
I'm
Oh
going to
yeah.
Barcelona. Yeah, I'm really excited. I still have to get my tickets because I kind of because I kind of want to see if I can try to swing it with my day job where I maybe go and like
Ooh.
are there for something else also, and just kind of if I can find like a travel buddy and just I might see if I can like grab Roman for like 2 extra days and maybe just
Yeah.
do
I
something
mean,
extra.
it's Barcelona. Go look at the things.
Well, so I've also never been. I've been to Spain before, but I don't even know like what part of Spain. Like obviously I was in the part of Spain that borders France because like when I was in France,
That's quite a bit of Spain.
there's quite a bit of it, yes. But we were in the south of France and we literally just went over the border and there was this like spring onion festival or something, and all I remember is that everyone was just grilling these spring onions with a crap ton of olive oil and like
Oh,
spices on
so
them, and
good.
they were one of the most delicious things I've ever had. But yeah, I've never been to Barcelona. I know there's like a lot of really cool stuff there, obviously.
So if you were in the south of France, chances are you were very close to Barcelona
Yeah,
because
right?
that's
Like, I was
right.
probably over there. I just
You're
wasn't
probably in
in.
like Catalonia somewhere over there.
Yeah, I
So
wasn't in Barcelona proper, but
Yeah, but like whatever, some village, something.
so I'm excited. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to France or whatever, but even just having like a few extra days in Barcelona,
Even just being able to go to Barcelona is going to be rad.
I am dangerously capable of just picking a direction and walking in it and hoping everything turns out fine. I have like that, like, I am a stubborn white woman gene that I'm just like, it'll be fine. What's the worst thing that could happen? I'm thin and I'm pretty. It'll be okay.
I mean, fair, fair.
It's
I
worked out
also
for
have
me
that
so
gene,
far.
sans the thin and pretty part, but I also like just like I am in a place and I'm going to walk in this direction and things are going to happen.
Yeah, my mom is just like, please don't wander around in a country where you don't speak the language. I was like, whatever, Google Translate exists, and I
It's
speak bad
Spanish. You
French.
speak
It's
Spanish. You live in America long enough.
that's true. Like, but also the minute somebody does that, like Barcelona, I'm gonna
Oh
freak
God,
out
yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit.
okay,
Like,
yeah.
that'll take some getting used to.
They do speak Catalan there, which is not Spanish, and
Yes.
the Spanish of Spain is very weird if you grew up in North America because we speak Mexican Spanish.
Yeah.
But like when I was living in Japan, my brother was there doing study abroad in Barcelona, so I was like, oh my God, I wish I could go, but I'm literally in Japan living my dream, so I'm
Yeah.
going to do that instead.
Kind of the opposite.
Yeah, it's kind of far. It's kind of the wrong side of the world. However, Barcelona is like a sick and gorgeous city, and there's like the Gaudi churches, and like
I really want to see.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm really excited to
Yeah.
go there.
Conveniently, though, Barcelona is also in Europe.
Yes. Also, well, and it trails so nicely into, because last year for Eurovision, I like, part of the reason why I'm so feral for Eurovision. Oh, sorry. Part of the
It's
reason why
okay. Just you get one.
I get one. Okay. So part of the reason why I'm so wild for Eurovision this year is last year, me and all my local friends were planning on going to a big anime convention, like the big one in the Midwest. And I get to go to events all
Is
the
that
time.
ASEN or
ASEN, yeah. So I get to go to events all the time, but like my friends don't, right? So like when ASEN literally like 4 days before their con, basically we're like, we're not checking anybody's vaccines and nobody has to wear masks. And
I
everyone's
remember
like,
that.
are we still gonna go? And a bunch of friends like felt like it was, they understandably didn't want to deal with that.
Sure.
So I had a bunch of sad friends, and it was Eurovision the weekend prior, and I was like, well, I know so much about this thing that I've kind of just like been sitting on, and so I just made a playlist of, because obviously, like, so Eurovision itself, the contest, exists such that there is a semifinal 1, a semifinal 2, and then a grand final. Which,
yes.
for the deep Eurovision lore of people, like, there's 3 little kind of things.
You
The
want
grand
to
final.
pull back like 15 steps a second? Tell people what the vision of Europe is.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I'm so excited. So I was actually really proud. I did a TikTok that like blew up about Eurovision.
You were made for that format.
I literally was like manufactured in a lab to be.
I
good
feel
at
like I would
TikTok.
probably be very good at that, but I'm old.
You would be very good. It takes a long time to figure out how to work the interface. The interface is bleh, but like once you get it, and it's better now than it was for sure. But so Eurovision has been going since the 1950s. Basically, like after all the world wars, a bunch of people were like, "Hey, we should maybe
What if we
sing
unify the world in song?"
about unity and whatever, right? Try to do some stuff." And like, regardless of whether you know anything about Eurovision or not, like, you know acts that have been at Eurovision. Like ABBA is like obviously one of the really famous ones. Also like Celine Dion got her start at Eurovision.
How? She's Canadian.
So you can be a representative for another country pretty easily. Like this year, the lady who represented France is actually French Canadian. Like Flo Rida was in Eurovision one year.
Flo Rida, it's not
by
even
way of San Marino. Well, he was on another person's song at least. So, and the song's actually really good. Like El Diablo kind of is like quite good. Actually, I like that song a lot. And like, or just like things that you've seen or heard, especially with TikTok being so music forward. Like,
Riverdance's first performance was in Eurovision.
Michael Flatley, Lord of the Dance.
Big fan.
And then like things like, obviously, like Måneskin got really popular last year. Måneskin was the one that won in 2021, actually. But you know, like Epic Sax guy, like that guy, yes. The meme, he was in Eurovision in 2010, and he didn't even win. They placed like 20th or 20th.
That song is so good, though.
Or something. Yeah, like, and that's the thing about Eurovision, right? Is like some people, the top YouTube comments on that that song with Epic Sax Guy is like some people win Eurovision and some people become eternal memes. And it is like so true, right? Like, and yeah, because like the like bow, it's fucking iconic.
It's so good. It's
It's
so good.
iconic. It's so good. So yeah, so like the way that Eurovision works is like countries in Europe can participate. Australia got brought in for the 50th anniversary, 60th anniversary. Australia got brought in.
Did you see that there was the Eurovision song from New Zealand where they're like, "You let the Aussies in. Why don't you let us in?"
Yeah, like, and people have asked me if like I ever want America like to participate. Absolutely not.
No,
Like, no,
no, of
it
course not.
would be. I do not want anything.
This summer they tried to do an America version of Eurovision
Oh
and it
God, no! It's just
failed desperately
like there's
badly.
something just so quintessentially like wacky and European about Eurovision and the way that it is that like because there's kind of like a whole Eurovision season. Like famously, people talk about Eurovision like it's the gay Olympics because it is. Like it's like honestly it attracts more people worldwide obviously than like the Super Bowl and the Olympics do. And it has this very odd cultural like touchstone piece because it's been going on forever. So like there's other countries that are in it. Obviously, we can get into like the like rules lawyery ethics of like what actually constitutes Europe and what doesn't, right? Because Israel's obviously in and stuff, but it's mostly broadcasting reasons. It's mostly like, are you part of the European Broadcasting Union? You're probably in. And some countries don't compete every year. Like last year we had North Macedonia, and this year we don't. Um, at the contest this year, we actually had the announcement that Luxembourg is going to participate for the first time in like a very long time, so that'll be cool.
All
Like they're
12
coming back.
Luxembourgians are super thrilled
Listen,
about that.
they got money, okay? Like they're gonna be ready. So the way that they kind of hash it out is there's countries that are so-called like the big five countries in Eurovision who are like the countries whose broadcasting companies spend the most money to put the contest on. So that's the UK, France, Germany, Italy, and Spain. Those are the big five. So the big five and then the winner of the past year, whoever that might be, automatically qualify and go to the grand final. Everybody else who's participating this year, it was 37 countries. They get mixed in and they get assigned semifinal 1 or semifinal 2, and then the top 10 acts of each semifinal go to the grand final. So the grand final, this year, was a total of 26 acts because it's the 10 from each of the two semifinals plus the winner from last year, who was Ukraine.
And there's like each of the nations has their own random contest to get their one person up, right?
Yes and no. You can either do a national final, like Sweden famously does, like Melodifestival, and all the Nordic countries have like pretty good, well-known, established, like UMK is the Finnish one, and then you can also just internally select your person to send. Like France just picked somebody this year. Like she's just like this very beautiful. Like they put her on a giant tall platform. She was like French Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil. Those were like all the memes this year. And her song is beautiful too. Like she should have gotten more points than she did, in my opinion. Her song is one of my favorites. Or like again, like I don't really have a country in Eurovision because I'm not actually a Euro person, but my dad is from the Czech Republic, so like I've always kind of like been excited when like the Slavic countries do really well. And they're going by Czechia this year, and the Czech delegation sent like it was kind of like a pan-Slavic coalition of all these women, and it was very like kind of like a very like girl power like kind of statement song, and it was really cool. It was in a whole bunch of different languages. Ironically, Czech was not one of them, but like Ukraine was in there, Bulgarian was in there. I had a conversation with Roman, who is the Garuk at Magic 30. Look, we did it. We talked about Magic again. Because he's from the Czech Republic, so we were talking about
Oh,
it.
no wonder you had her best friends. You've got like ancient family kinship going on.
Yeah, we did shots after Vesna was done with her song, because he brought me a bottle of this just like wonderfully horrid like Czech aperitif, like
Oh yeah, I'm sure it
liquor.
tasted like rocket fuel or something.
It's actually not like it's only I think it's less than 40 like percent alcohol. But we did shots of it. I made Kyle do shots too, and Kyle's like, this actually doesn't even suck. I was like, no, it's like not that bad. So
that sure is a compliment. This actually doesn't suck, Kyle.
It's Kyle's whole life being my friend. But Yeah, so like so Eurovision is wild. It's crazy. Obviously it happened this weekend. So all the drama is super fresh right now. And it's kind of my first like cuz I was always like in it, but I never like posted about it or I never like kind of like made it a thing cuz I didn't really like know anybody else in the community and I didn't like talk about it. It was a thing that I just like did
This is the
my
thing you kept to yourself.
yeah, it was just like a thing that like I did like all my neurodivergent like like interest gathering and there's so many stats and like so many like factoids that you can remember
Oh yeah.
about various things. Um, but like the past year, obviously, like I showed all my friends Eurovision and they thought it was amazing. Luckily, it was crazy. It was a good year to show too, because like
Now,
Ukraine put up such a amazing song last year,
mm,
and like there was drama about like whether Ukraine should have won because like their televote was like maybe based on the fact that they're kind of the
getting invaded right now.
they're getting invaded right now and nobody really likes Russia right now either. So like it's easy to love Ukraine, but the song is amazing. Like the song I'm on record saying that like Stefania by Kalish Orchestra, which is the Ukraine song that won last year, is also just an amazing song. Like it would have been in my top 5 songs regardless of any kind of political issue. It was just a really well put together like song with like deep cultural roots too, which is always good because like that's like a thing that you get at Eurovision that you don't always get at other like we'd never get that in America, right?
Right. And like to be fair, I'm not an entire novice to Eurovision. I've definitely watched more than my share of song contests from the ye old continent. My country of choice tends to be Italy just because the music that they put up there is always like in my taste range the most. And like
Sure.
when I think back on like who are my favorite acts from, Eurovision's past, it's always been like the Italian bands. So that's kind of where I lean, but I mean obviously like the Swedes are always good. The
Well,
Finns are always good.
so the Swedes and the
Usually
Finns,
always.
the Swedes and the Finns is the big drama this year. Like that's the big drama that's like hitting all the social media right now.
Yeah, I noticed a bunch of my Finnish friends were, shall we say, less than thrilled.
I actually had like a very deep conversation with Charlotte about it, and like we are similarly of a mind about it. Obviously, like her, because like my 2 favorite songs of the year were both Sweden and Finland, and the songs are complete opposites
Mm.
of like what they are. So, for more deep lore Eurovision context, the country that has won Eurovision the most prior to this year was Ireland. Ireland had won 7 times,
That's
and
wild.
Ireland has the only record for having won 3 times in a row in the 90s. They won in 92, 93, and 94, and they almost went bankrupt because of it as a
Yeah.
country. Because if you've watched the Will Ferrell movie, like one of the bits about Eurovision is that if you win, you host the next year, you host the following year. The reason why it wasn't in Ukraine this year is obviously because they can't host a song contest. So the UK, who took second, is like hosting on their behalf, which is kind of lovely. It would be lovely if Ukraine could host, obviously, but
They're
so
busy right now.
yeah, they're a little bit busy right now. Ireland also had a previous record for Eurovision, which was they have the only individual artist who had won twice at Eurovision in 2 separate years.
Mm.
An artist called Johnny Logan had won in 1980 and then again in 1987. This year, Sweden sent the artist who won for them in 2012, who is a really amazingly talented artist named Loreen. She won with Euphoria in 2010 or 2012, which is like one of my favorite songs ever. I have like a lot of deep feelings about that song. And then her song this year, Tattoo, like I don't know, a lot of people said it was just like boring Swedish pop or whatever. And like yes, it is in English because Sweden never sends a song in Swedish. They just send really good pop music. But like Loreen is like unequivocally like extremely talented as a vocalist, and the
Sure.
staging was really cool. She was like sandwiched in between these 2 like LCD screens and stuff, and it was very good. Whereas Finland sent kind of completely the opposite of well packaged like pop that everyone can kind of like. They sent this artist called Karja with a song called Cha 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 that is in Finnish. It's metal. It's also cha-cha, but there's like a rap breakdown and then they do a whole pop bit at the end.
It's so weird.
It is I love it. I love it so much because it's something that could only happen at Eurovision. Like it's so wild and wacky and weird. And I want to make there. I like almost want to get like one of those like silicone, like you can get like silicone like chests, like a dude chest, like that has like pecs and everything. I kind of wanted to get one for Oko cosplay anyway, but now I kind of want to get one so I can do like full on Karia drag.
I love that, like, because I was looking up Karya because I was trying to figure this stuff out before I, 'cause I'm trying to do a little bit of research to talk to
Before
you.
I just like threw you into this wild.
Yeah, and it was just like I love that his stage name Karya literally means rapping,
Yeah.
but like it's a homophone of rapper, as in like to rap, but like it's about rapping things.
Well, and the staging element of his performance is they put like the like wooden pallets. That word in Finnish sounds very much like Eurostage. Like it's very similar. So the whole thing is puns and it's wild and there's like a human centipede like reference in it a little bit because he like sits on like some of his dancers and it's insane. Like it's insane in the best way. And he also is just like one of the things I love so much about Eurovision among so much else is that after the acts are all selected, generally by the end of March, like all the songs are in. And then they travel around Europe. Like they get as many of the acts as possible. Obviously, there are some people who have like recording contracts and stuff who can't always like go on the whole circuit, but they try to get everybody around the circuit and they like tour them around. And it's always funny because you know the odds go up and down while it happens because sometimes somebody goes and you're like, oh, we just saw this person's music video and then they try to do a live show in Madrid and they
And it's
can't sing their song,
awful.
which has definitely happened before. Happened this year a few times. And then you also just get them all interacting with each other in just very wholesome ways, especially with like how much like TikTok is now like a thing. Like there's like every TikTok, like every other TikTok is Karia and one of the singers from the Slovenian band Joker out like having the best bromance in the world. Like it very much like it is just incredibly wholesome and it's been really funny talking to just some of the like MTG creators who I know who are, you know, from all over the place in Europe and stuff. And obviously like Roman and I have been talking about it a bunch, but then I was talking to Charlotte about it, which was really, really cool. And like I was wearing for the actual performance, I was wearing one of my Czech hockey sweaters because I love Czech hockey. That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother background. But I'm wearing my Czech hockey sweater because I'm also cheering for my hockey or for my Czech
My
girls.
country and your people and your
And like
team.
Martin Yuza is like, why do you even have that? And I was like, Jaromir Jagr, dude. Like, and then we were talking about it. So it is just it's wild how this strange thing can kind of just unite people in such odd ways, especially because Eurovision is so it's not ubiquitous per se, but it
It's
does
kind of
take
is,
everything
though.
over. It's like the Super Bowl here, right? Like there are people who don't watch it, but at least everybody knows that like if you hate the Super Bowl, you can go to the grocery store and there will be nobody there, kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, and then so this year the big drama was between whether Sweden or Finland was going to win and place first because there's two different scoring
The
methods.
scoring is so shady on Eurovision.
The scoring, I mean, well, everything's a lot. There's a lot shady about Eurovision. Like Poland rigged their national final this year. They did not send the person who won the popular vote that everybody seemed to want. So that happened. And then, so the scoring this year it's half jury vote, which each country sends 5 like music industry professionals that they pick. And then there's a whole like, you know, the 12 points like that people talk about because Eurovision scoring for jury for scoring giveaways, you can give away a 12 or a 10, a 9, an 8, whatever. So like it's weighted for the 12. And a bunch of the juries gave Loreen the points, which again, there are people who are calling that like it was really like people want Sweden to win because it's gonna be ABBA's like 50th birthday or whatever, or
and
50th
ABBA
anniversary.
won like in 1976.
And ABBA was like big or whatever.
Waterloo.
So like I mean like there's like you can never prove that that's not happening, but also like my issue with that is like in March when all the songs were out, like everybody who was talking about Eurovision was calling it already. The odds makers were calling it. Like everyone knew it was going to be between Loreen and Karia, and it was going to be who got like Loreen's jury vote because she's objectionably, like, implacably good at singing, versus Karya's
Yeah, like,
televote
look,
because it's wild.
it's not that it was, like, rigged and that she didn't deserve it, because obviously she can sing. She can
Yeah.
perform, she can sing, the song was good. Maybe it wasn't, like, the height that you want it to be, maybe it wasn't, like, fully unique, but look, she's a very competent singer, and she clearly knew what she was doing, but the fact that everybody knew that people wanted Sweden to win, okay, so maybe Sweden just juiced it by putting somebody they know could win up there. How about
Well,
that?
and that's the other thing too. A lot of people are talking like, should you be allowed to compete again if you've already won once? Because like maybe there are people who just want to see like somebody win again, because that's kind of wild to see. Because again,
It's
it's only happened one other time, and it only happened in the 80s. So
Look,
that
you
like
pick
we
the
are,
best person. Sometimes the best person, the same person.
yeah.
It
But
happens.
like, and we're in a very different age when, like, again, when Johnny Logan won in 1980 and 1987, like there wasn't TikTok and Twitter for everybody to fight over it, right? Like
Fair.
that didn't exist.
Yeah,
Whereas
no, it was just
now,
like, oh, we read it in the paper the next day. It's like, well, that happened. Next.
whereas now it's like completely different. There's like all kinds of different stuff. Like the thing I think I like the most about it though is like all the artists individually, and whether it's just because there's like just European sensibilities and they're just nicer than us, like crazy Americans, but like everyone, like specifically Karya and Loreen talking about each other's songs and like meeting each other, they have been like the most civil, like lovely discussions of their competitors, which is something that I've always loved about Eurovision. And like all the competitors, they're all like singing each other's songs and like doing like little like bits and like playing silly pranks. Like again, like one of the guys from the Slovenian bands is like wearing Karya's bolero to like cheer him up after he loses. And like the Estonian girl is like talking to Karya in Finnish because she speaks Finnish. And like it's just really charming. But yeah, and again, like Loreen was second in the popular vote, and Karya was fourth in the jury vote. So it's not like they were on completely different levels of whether anything was even happening. But there's a big discussion about stuff and what's happening. The most important thing is that I am desperately going to try to go Sweden next year. Like, I want to go so badly.
I just want to go to Sweden, but also going to Sweden during Eurovision would be bananagrams, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of also like my thing too, right? And like there's Eurovision has also gotten insane because like there's all the Ticketmaster drama and all that kind of thing about trying to get anywhere, like tickets. Just reading the drama of people who are trying to get their stuff this year was insane. So it's one of those things that like even if I don't get a ticket because I can't, like I would
Go to a
almost,
bar.
yeah, right. Like, well, again, you also are my people, so I was because the friends I was talking to about maybe going to Sweden were like, well, if we can't get tickets, like, are we going to be really disappointed if we don't go all the way to Sweden? I was like, I will be maybe just as happy sitting in a pub surrounded by Swedish Eurofans and everybody else who's come in for the show who couldn't get tickets.
It's like
And
going
just,
to the Olympics, right? Like, so you might not be able to go see the race. You're still in the atmosphere
or
of
likewise, like I've never been to a Super Bowl, but I have been in the Super Bowl like village
vicinity.
a lot of the time, and it's really fun. Like,
Yeah, they had a Super Bowl here in California when the new San Francisco the Niners Stadium opened, and I didn't get to go to. Obviously, I didn't go to the Super Bowl. However, I went to the Metallica concert that was like right next to the Super Bowl, and I
yeah,
went to the Super Bowl Village, and I did the whole activity centers. Like, it's still cool.
it
It's so
is. It
cool being in the and environs thereof.
Well, and it's just so cool because you're just in a space where like everybody speaks the same weird nerd
It's
language
like
that you
going
do.
to a Magic
It's
Con.
literally like, look it, we did it. We talked about magic like 3 times. We're nailing it. We're absolutely nailing it.
God damn it, Tappy! I can't believe I let you talk me.
I didn't even have to convince you. I was like,
Not even a little bit. You were just like, "We're doing this." I'm like, "When are you free?"
I was like, can I
But
come on?
like, it's important to note, like, there, like, Eurovision gets a weird rap because people are like, "Oh, it's just like boring, bland pop song or something." But like Lordi, the
Yep,
Finnish metal band,
that
won
was
in
the
like
other. That was yep.
2004 or six or whatever it was,
Or
and
like
yeah,
or like Shum, like or Monoskin, like all kinds of, or again, or like Ukraine winning last year. Um, there is just there's all kinds of crazy stuff. Like speaking of, I'm really excited to go to Spain. because my favorite song from Eurovision last year was Chanel from last year. Not only because like it was a great song. She's incredibly talented. She's also like maybe like unobjectionably the hottest woman I've ever seen. But like, and it's had this whole dance breakdown, and it was crazy cool. She got third behind the UK and behind Ukraine. But
Yeah, like Eurovision's wild. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention my actual favorite Eurovision
yep,
song ever, which
please.
is it's not even from like this year, it's from like 2017 or whatever. And it didn't win. It was number 6, but I don't care. Francesco Gabbani from Italy sang Occidentale's Karma, which is like the best popish rock song I've
Hmm.
heard in a very long time. And like I sing it all the time. It came on the radio once and my wife was like, "Are you singing in Italian?" And I'm like, "I am." And
Yeah, right? Like, I don't know, I just think it's cool to be able to know all these weird things. And again, like the other thing I love about Eurovision too, and why like I like a lot of people are really sad about Karia not winning.
yeah.
But like he's gonna be remembered forever because Cha 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 is iconic. Like, and it's
Yeah.
so weird, and he's so easy to love as like a person. Like, one of the other like iconic acts that she actually, and the other cool thing they do with Eurovision is when they do the big grand final, they bring in a bunch of the other acts just to kind of go. And again, since Ukraine won last year and we're technically hosting the contest this year, one of the other acts they brought in was Verka Seduchka, which is like this Ukrainian drag queen who competed in like 2007.
How did you know that I was literally about to transition into Eurovision is the gayest thing on the
Oh my
planet?
god, it literally is. It's the gay Super Bowl. Like it is Eurovision is for the gays. It is absolutely 100%.
It
Yeah,
is
like
I mean, Conchita Wurst was in
yep,
Eurovision,
Conchita Wurst. Yeah,
and like
absolutely. From
just
Austria.
it is deeply, deeply gay. It's so wildly, incredibly gay. Like I don't know. It's hard to really explain how San Francisco it is.
It honestly saying it's very San Francisco is it that's a very accurate way of like talking about it. Well, I think that's part of the reason that like the Will Ferrell movie is so ridiculous.
God, I love that
But
movie.
I don't think I've met a single like Eurovision fan, like somebody who's a fan of the song contest. I don't think I've met anybody who didn't enjoy the movie. Like nobody was offended by it.
No, because you could tell that freaking Will Ferrell's a huge fan of
Will
Eurovision
Ferrell
too.
freaking loves Eurovision. Again, like the thing I can say about that movie that is like I can say two things about that movie. One, it is at least 40 minutes too long. It is so long. It is like almost 3 hours. I think it's like 2 hours and 45 minutes or something.
It takes its time.
It's a very long movie. And also, Will Ferrell is acting in the movie, and he should not be in the movie. I know it's Will Ferrell, so like he never won't be in the movie, but we're supposed to like believe that Rachel McAdams' character is like thirsting after him and like in love with him, and
It was so funny though. It was
it like
so funny.
it absolutely, and they do this thing where it's absolutely like they were just like, remember when Pitch Perfect did the bit that everyone copied? What if we do that? But they brought in a bunch of former
Yeah,
Eurovision winners.
that's exactly what I thought was hilarious.
They brought in Conchita, they brought in Netta, they brought in a ton of different people, which was really cool. Like that was really fun.
Your friend Lorene was in there.
Yeah, like it was. There's all kinds of really cool stuff in there, and
Yeah,
it
and
is.
I actually really liked the songs. I thought the
Oh yeah,
songs
no,
were really, really good.
yeah, like the ending song, like Husavik, is like unironically like very good, like actually incredible. It is on my it is an honorary include in my Eurovision
You know
playlist.
what makes me happy is that like the town of Husavik in like Iceland is just sitting there going like, "I'm sorry, you want to do what with us? Where?"
Yeah,
And they're like, "All right, we're in. Let's go.
well,
Whatever."
it's hilarious that they. I mean, I love that they chose to set it in Iceland because Iceland is unironically like one of the countries with like the highest Eurovision watch rate of any country.
There's not a lot to do in Iceland. Of course, they're gonna watch Eurovision.
I mean, listen, don't be mean, but like
It's a very small country. They've seen it all.
that's true. I do, and like, hey, listen, I would go when Iceland wins. I would love to go to Iceland's a lot closer than Sweden. So
That is true. I would love to go to Iceland someday just because it's cool. It's cold, but it's also cool. It's just a really neat island in the middle of the ocean that's like full of
Everyone I know
happy
who's ever been
bjorks
there
and
has
stuff.
said like literally only extremely amazing
I think my only
compliments about
problem
it.
would be that it's diet is a little challenging.
I was just gonna say I am a garbage can person, so I will eat anything, but you might have a
Yeah,
little
I'm
bit
like,
more.
I'm not sure about the whale blubber, and like
Slight
the rotting sea fish and
Might
stuff,
be
but
slightly more difficult for
yeah,
me, but
I'm gonna be eating a lot of skyr.
yeah, I
Um,
mean it's good though.
yeah,
Like
but how much yogurt can a man eat?
I don't I
I will
just
be very regular, let's
I
say.
was gonna say I feel like you'd find out real quickly if you went to Iceland.
Jesus Christ. This is what happens when we have Shivam and Tappy Hour, people. You
It
signed up for this.
Listen, we mentioned Magic the Gathering 3 times.
It's all about the gathering, and this is the magical
It
part of it.
sure is. I mean, hey, listen, like
Well,
it's
look, dude. One of the things I keep trying to bring home is that we need to, like, as a community, it's important for us. Yeah, sure, we bonded over these cards in the first place, but really, the thing that makes us friends and the thing that makes us a community is bonding about things outside of just these cards that we play. The fact that we have other shared hobbies, the fact that we like each other about things and stuff is the fun part, right?
it's probably good that we like each other.
Well,
Absolutely.
otherwise, this would be a very different and weird conversation.
It sure would be. It sure would be. It would be me like having me trying to talk to like every third person at M30 who was
Oh,
like, "Oh god, Tappy, no. Like somebody take me out. Somebody save me from this woman." But
Look,
I totally I totally converted Talia.
oh,
She's
I
like
believe.
she's totally in on it. Which was lovely cuz she like went home and like watched it all and like was like telling me all of her thoughts on it, which was really fun.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, I mean, look, it's hard not to get sold on Eurovision. Eurovision's great. It's really
I
fun.
think so.
You've got 50 years of music to go through. I mean, look, some of the ones from the 60s and 70s are maybe not
Yeah, I
great.
mean, like,
Kind of,
ABBA holds up, but not all of it does.
yeah, but like the 90s and later, like the last 20 years with the Eurovision stuff from the 2000s is rad.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
incredible.
actively cool.
Like, there's
So
going back through and like listening to it, like you're gonna recognize songs that you were like, oh wait, I've heard this before. Like, if you've ever
right.
been to a gay club, you've probably heard more Eurovision than you think you have.
Well, because like a lot of these tracks just become dance songs
Yeah,
that are just normally popular songs that other people have
and again,
heard.
I cannot stress enough on TikTok. Like, so much of the music that I was hearing when I was just getting into TikTok, like a year ago, 2 years ago, I was like, this is what this is. This
Okay,
is
so
from
I need to say one thing that really just made me sad about the pandemic is that because the pandemic they canceled 2020's Eurovision.
They did.
And 2020's Eurovision, Ireland had Leslie Roy doing her song for as representing Ireland. She's one of my favorite like random musicians that I discovered from Rock
Sure.
Band, and I'm just like, she's so good, and that song was so good,
Yeah.
and it was just like, well, GG's. I mean, what are
Like
you gonna do?
they still kind of did it, right? But
But it
it
wasn't the
wasn't the same.
same.
It was not. It was not
It's
the
not the
same.
same. It doesn't count. But it's just like, God, I love Leslie Roy. She's so good.
Yeah,
Um,
incredible.
yeah, I don't know. Just like, all right. So, what's your favorite Eurovision song?
I have a few. Like
Okay,
I
give me
do
like
like
your top three.
okay, I am extremely basic, but like I do absolutely love Lorene's Euphoria. So like when I heard Lorene was coming back this year, I did kind of like lose it, right? Um one of my other ones is definitely Shum. Um that one was incredible. That was 2021. And let's also say like god, I do love Sunstroke. That one is
Mm,
really phenomenal. Like Epic Sax Guy is
that song is
incredible.
like
It
that
like
song is unironically awesome.
unironically incredible. Yeah, absolutely.
And like
Um
I don't know. I've listened to that 10-hour loop of that sax solo far more than I'd like to admit. But sometimes you just need to work, and that is the one beat you need.
yep, absolutely. Again, like not that it is my favorite, but like the Flowrider El Diablo is like pretty good. Like for all that it's like Flowrider is just here, like courtesy of San Marino, which is
So
wild. It's also
okay,
just one of the ones that like I love to bring up as like a wild factoid of
yeah.
just like this
Well, like I
thing
mean, Justin
happened.
Timberlake was in Eurovision once, and he's from Tennessee, right?
Yeah,
Like that
exactly.
doesn't. But and like
Um
Eurovision's a little weird. It's got Israel in it, and I'm like, okay, well, what are we saying here? But you
I
know
mean,
what?
well, like, I mean, famously, like Hattori from Iceland, like took out like their Palestine like scarves
Yeah,
and flags when they were there, and they got fined for it. But because again, Eurovision's quote unquote never been political, never been even a little bit political even
Nope,
once.
not at all. It's
Absolutely
just
not.
totally
Definitely not
fine.
just European politics the musical or
It
anything
is.
like that.
Boy, howdy.
Um,
You know what? That's the thing. That's I think part of the reason why I really just enjoy Eurovision is because it is exactly just like the entire geopolitical structure of Europe brought real small, and people definitely don't vote emotionally at all. They're certainly not voting for countries for any reason that they might be invading their neighbors or anything to that effect. I mean,
sure,
sure, Azerbaijan and Armenia absolutely love each other in Eurovision.
they talk probably they don't like
In
I
passing, if they need water, maybe. But I get the feeling that those two probably wouldn't even be like give each other bottles of water level of talking.
yeah, we'll see. There's certainly not a whole lot of there was not a whole lot of videos of those two
No,
versus
I'm gonna go with probably not now
videos of
or ever.
others.
Yeah. Um, but yes, the I I think we've exhausted what we could say about
I was
Eurovision.
just saying, at some point we're probably gonna start getting you in trouble. Maybe.
Look, there's only so much you can do because like I can't like play any of these songs, which is the problem.
Yeah, that's the hard
Because
part,
I
but
would hella do that if I could, but YouTube would like mute this whole
it would be
thing.
so angry at you, yeah,
However,
unfortunately.
I will make Tappy give me like YouTube links to whatever we talked about, and I'll throw it in the thingy
Yeah,
bobbers
sure.
so you
And
guys
I
can look.
like and the nice thing is like they are all accessible very easily on
Yeah,
like the Eurovision channel, right?
yeah,
And
it's
then
super easy to get all this
yeah,
stuff.
it's really easy to get all of them. And then the other thing that I really like too, because we were talking like kind of at the start of this, and then we got sidetracked because I had to explain what
Really, we
Eurovision
got
actually
sidetracked.
even is. Yeah, I know, wild concept.
Three.
I'm trying. I can
You're
say it as
killing me,
many
Tappy.
times as we mentioned Magic the Gathering.
God damn it, Tappy.
Um, but it is actually because you can watch it on Peacock. You can watch it. It's
Mm.
streaming. And then I also really like that because I was mentioning that I had watched it twice all the way through. Because you can watch one where it's just the
Like
Eurovision
I've never
host.
seen it. I've only ever seen like the Eurovision stuff as like separate song tracks. Do they have like interstitial conversations
Yeah,
or
and
judges
again,
or whatever?
one part of the cool thing is they bring in a bunch of like the judges usually always all perform themselves a little bit.
Of course, that's like my favorite part of like non-American music shows is like the judges are also music stars who also get up there and sing their song.
Yeah, like and it's always amazing to see like the interactions that the hosts have with either each other or other acts. And the way that the staging kind of works is they set all of the like presenters and all of the performers like in like the first little like circle thing, so you can see them when they're announcing like the results and stuff. They're running around and like waving each other's flags, and again, it's just incredibly wholesome and utterly chaotic. I love it. I love it so much. And then in addition to watching it like with the European host, just like as anybody would watch it. Johnny Weir also does the American coverage for it, which is
That man has found a life outside of figure skating that
I
I would.
love him so much. And it's literally just because he obviously like he speaks Ukrainian, and like because I think one of his figure skating coaches was Ukrainian or whatever, and like he's very into Eurovision because he was there and is kind of exactly the target audience. And
Gee,
so
a gay figure skater would be into the gay Olympics? How
and
could
he
that
is
possibly
so
be?
fabulous too. If nothing else, I like tuning it in and seeing whatever he's doing with his hair and
Look,
like his
Olympics is my
outfits.
other passion, so I'm a big fan of Johnny Weir. I understand.
I love him. He has just the best vibes. And yeah, his commentary is really fun too. So like that's another way to watch it if it's something that you want to watch. And again, they're not like the most long things in the world. The semifinals are like 2 hours, and then the grand finals like 4. So like if you watch all of it, it's very long. But if you want to put something on in the like, it's also like it's great background stuff. Like
Yeah,
when
just
I'm
stick on a
working on
playlist and it's like, look, it's the best pop hits of
well,
2023 in
even then, like I
order.
kind of like the commentary and stuff too. Anyway, so like when I'm working on like costumes and stuff, it's super easy to just throw on like last year's Eurovision and just like watch it from start to finish.
Mm. I one thing that does like irk me a little bit, and I understand why. So it's not like I get it, but I hate that all the songs are in English. Like I understand why they need to be global hits. They need to get to America or cross over into the world. And if you're an Italian, singing a song in Italian is not going to get you anywhere in Germany. Singing in English will. I understand. I get it. However, part of the thing that makes Europe fun is that they all speak a bagillion languages, and
Well,
we get to hear Moldovan being sung, or we get to hear
and
Albanian,
in
or whatever it
and
is.
in some ways it's better. Like in some ways it's getting better. Like there's a lot more like mixes of languages,
Yeah.
which is cool. Like the Ukrainian song this year is a much more like traditional pop hit than like last year's Ukrainian song. But when they perform it on stage at Eurovision, there is a whole part where they are singing in Ukrainian, which is really cool. But like one of my other favorite songs this year was from Moldova, and it
Mm.
was like this crazy pagan like folk horror whole thing. It was amazing. Like it was definitely like one of my favorites. And yeah, like there is a certain amount of bias towards songs that are in English and that are a little bit more like pop centric.
Right. Because, I mean,
Um
remember, people are calling in from home to vote. And so your random Romanian peasant who's watching is not going to understand a song in French or whatever. And
sure.
you want them to call in. But, like, look, if a song is good enough, it will transcend language. Like, I
Yeah.
listen to so much foreign music in languages I don't understand, can't even identify. Well, I mean, there are fewer of those, but it's like, it's rad. It's rad. And if a song is good, it's good, and you will
Well,
get into it.
and there's so much more of it like every year, especially with social media becoming so much more of a side part of Eurovision. Like it almost doesn't matter who wins. It matters who has like the biggest social media presence and almost who can get the most out of like going to
Mm.
Eurovision. Again, like the Slovenian entry is this band called Joker Out, and like the boys are all beautiful, so that helps. But like they were just the social media darlings of the year, and their social media is all exploding because they got to be there. And again, they placed like 22nd or something,
Yeah,
which
like,
I
that's the thing.
I
Just
think they
showing
deserve to
up is
be
such a
higher.
huge.
Absolutely. Like it's just so cool to be there. Like I have like a playlist of every Eurovision year because I like having them all separated out so that I have each year. But then I also just have like my faves. That is just like my favorite Eurovision like Europop songs that are just on there. And it goes on at random parties or whatever. If you're ever in my hotel room when I'm like getting my makeup on or whatever, that's probably the playlist that I'm listening to because it gets me hyped up to do stuff. But
It can confirm, can confirm.
yeah, like I'm sure you probably heard it. Like, you ever hear Måneskin or Loreen like blasting or Shum or any of that? That's probably my hotel room, and I'm getting ready to be in there. But yeah, I do think like there's obviously like anything, there's like plenty to criticize about it. Like this year they changed the way that voting was done,
Mm.
whereas there was no jury vote in the semifinals. It was only popular vote to get you from the semifinal to the grand final. And people thought they were really going to like that. And then in the second semifinal, this girl named Iru from Georgia sang her bloody heart out. And with a jury, there's no way she wouldn't have qualified. But with just a televote, she did not. And
Mm.
it was like heartbreaking to see because like Georgia's on a really rough like non-qualification streak to getting into the grand finals, and like she's so talented. She's a junior Eurovision winner. Like everyone wanted to see her go, and then we missed it. But you also have like again because it's social media and it is a horrible spiky circle that eats its own tail. Of course, people are also calling for the televote to be abolished because Loreen beat Karia, right? Like the same people last year who were probably mad that
Why did
Ukraine
you not just give it to the one person I want to win?
exactly. Like it's just one of those things. So I've always enjoyed Eurovision because it's something that I'm gonna get a ton of fun out of, regardless of whether my people win or not. Again, like I still think that it was ridiculous that the hottest Spanish woman that I've ever seen in my life be so incredibly talented lost to Sam Ryder, who in my opinion is like discount Coldplay. But I'm glad like but like I can still like be happy that
Jesus
I got
Christ.
to see Chanel perform because
That
otherwise
is
I wouldn't have even
savage. That
known.
is
I mean,
savage.
listen to Spaceman, and he's
He
it's
looks
fine.
like such a dweeb, though. Like,
Again,
that
like I don't wish him badly. Like it just wasn't to my
dude,
taste, and
blonde hair and the brunette beard, man. Come on. This is not like he looks like a gay version of a 2000 like rock star, not rock star, but like, the crap rock, like the dudes who listen to Nickelback. That's what he looks like. He looks
sure.
like a fan of
dude,
Nickelback.
I called him off-brand Coldplay, and now you're calling him Kroger Nickelback? That's meaner than what I said. That's meaner than what I said. We don't mean it, Sam Ryder. I thought Spaceman is fine. You just can't compete with Chanel because she does this line where she says take a sip of my cola la, and it's perfect. And I lose my mind every time she does it. But
God damn it. Okay, get out. I'm stopping you while we're behind. Okay, folks, if you want to learn more than you ever wanted to know about whatever Tappy is into today, which is probably Eurovision or bread or something, whatever, the tooth feel of magic card, tooth pack of
tooth
magic
pack.
cards.
Thank you. There you go. You got it.
Where could they go? God damn it, Tappy. Why do I put you on here?
You keep doing it for whatever reason.
And I will literally forever.
I know. I was going to say, can bring me back after Barcelona and I can talk to you about all my Spanish stuff. You can find me everywhere. Loud dinosaurs are not sold, but exist. I am Tappy Toe Claws on basically everything. So find me there. I'm on TikTok, and now my views exploded because I yelled about Eurovision a whole lot. So
I really need to just get on that clock app. I think
you would you're gonna hate it for the first month, and it's not gonna make any sense. And then you're gonna get it, and you're gonna find your niche, and it's gonna
you and Kessler keep telling me, and I'm like, you know what? I could probably just go on a rant for 30 seconds or a minute or something about anything. Let me tell you about Hinduism today, and I'll get 12 billion votes, and it'll be amazing. As always, my friends. God damn it, Tappy. Oh my good gracious me. You can find me at Gear40 Gears. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are sold, or at Cool Stuff Inc. on Tuesdays, or at YouTube on Tuesdays. Thank you, and sorry to my editor EK. You're gonna have to deal with this, buddy. There's not a lot of cards.
To EK.
There's not a lot of cards to put up this time. God damn it. Also, check out my other show, Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic, which is with me and Ben Wheeler talking about magic cards. Because you guys were like, hey, wouldn't it be rad if you and Wheeler just talked about magic all the time? We're like, that would be rad. So on the 1st and 15th of every month, we put out an episode where we talk all about a set and just go until we run out of things to say, which given me and Wheeler means that every episode's 2.5 hours long. It is a ton of fun. Please check it out and enjoy it. And in the meantime, my friends, remember, it is not magic without the gathering, and we will see you next time.